What the fuck is up, my lovely boys and girls? Today is August 13th, 2026. Here's how I made, I think it's $802 today. Um, 804. $804 today trading the NASDAQ. Um, Great day. And here is my executions. As always, do not mind them. By the way, I'm going to explain why they're so fucked. So here it is on the 50K. You see a very late entry. Again, don't mind that. And then on my 25K again, um, Phil was weird, had to exit, and then yeah. Anyways, here is the P&L. On the 50K, we are now up again. This is very stupid because again, I'm gonna get into it. I'm kind of pissed on my risk because my loss from yesterday is more than my win today. And I honestly should have risked like a band at least on the 50K. And then 25K, we are back at halfway past. I'm happy with that. Um, we are going to have to pass it 100%. So, anyways, let's get right into my trade. How I found my draw on liquidity and how I was able to take this. The fuck is happening? How I was able to take this banger of a Judas setup. So, anyways, coming in today, this was my sort of pre-market shit. Bias is 100% bullish. If you were not bullish today, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, because looking at these draws, these are the most perfect draws I've ever seen. High time frame LR leading up to previous day high with a weekly high, and not to mention ES has what? Also previous day high, stacked buy side with all-time highs, literally close. So all I was using, we go back to 9:30 open, I was using this 30-minute as my condition and the 15-minute. So, right. And also, I was not thinking about shorts at all. I was not going to short today. That's the stupidest shit ever. Why? Because there's no key levels and ES is near all-time highs. That is different than yesterday, because yesterday ES was not really near all-time highs. And then just assuming an open, low, high close. And I was hoping today was good, God willing. Yeah. So, anyways. So I was using the 15-minute and 30-minute. Preferably, I said this live time, I'd rather see the 30-minute get hit just because it's higher time frame. And the one thing that I've noticed personally is that Judases are always from 30 minutes. But anyways, right? So coming in today, what did 9:30 do? Exactly that. 9:30 first puts in, or actually opens lower, right? Puts in the wick, and then opens lower now. So both assets were in a high time frame place of distribution. I was now looking on TradeC to see for the 15-second and 30-second time frame. But what do we also have pre-market? I think I should note that instead. Pre-market, right? We have an accumulation, right? So I was waiting for now a manipulation to expect what? A distribution higher. So very easy AMD XPO3. I love it when I can take very A plus trades or very simple trades like this, and like I can just explain the exact same. Bro, I'm trying to fucking move my chair. My bad. I'm trying to when I can just explain the same thing over and over and over again. Anyways, also ES made equal highs with previous day high. That's something to note. Now, one thing that you guys might kind of wonder is why would I not care, right? Or actually, I'll get into it once I take the trade. It makes more sense then. Anyways, now what do we do? We're now both assets, manipulate into the 30-minute now, right? So NQ has fully wicked it out. So NQ fully wicked it out. 30-minute ES hit the CE of it. That's something I really love to see. Now going on to the 15-second time frame, ignoring my shitty fucking executions. What do we have right here? We have our 15-second inversion that inversed right here. One of the things that I saw people talk about, and I think that's one of the main things I'll talk about in today, educational wise, is this 1 minute. Why would I not care about this 1 minute? First off, the 15-second is the current manipulation leg, right? You have a stop on right here. On the 1 minute time frame, you don't really have a stop on. You do have this accumulation breakout, but for me, I want to see actually something more clear, right? I like to see what, and again, yesterday's trade was very shit, so that's why I'm mentioning it here. I like to see sort of like this, right? I don't like to see just, we have that and then we do this. right? Which is still accumulation, manipulation, distribution, but this is a better form of it, seeing an actual stop on an internal stop on. And this being the current manipulation line. Now, the reason I didn't care about this 1 minute is what is this 1 minute defending? This 1 minute is defending LR, low time frame, with your accumulation pre-market, high time frame LR, leading up to previous day high, leading up to a weekly high, leading up to all-time highs on ES. I don't think that draw on liquidity could get any better. Now, I will say, full transparency, and now getting into my executions and the actual trade itself, I originally entered on the 15-second right here. I had stops, I think, around here, and I was just targeting a 1-to-1. However, I was a bitch because I should have targeted more. But anyways, the reason I actually exited sort of manually, now again, full transparency, is because I looked on the 1 minute and I was like, oh fuck. Like, I actually thought that had significance for a reason, because I saw, I think, both assets were starting to wick it, and I was like, oh shit, are we gonna get like another, sort of thing, another sweep? But then I was like, bro, ES is already pumping. And I just realized to myself, and this is exactly the problem with Judas's, even though, like, I have over now, I think, a 92 or 91% win rate with Judas's. And I've learned to, sort of master this. They are really fast, so you have to be like really precise with it. And then after after I manually exit, I was like, I'm low-key a bitch for that, and I'm just gonna enter back in. Now again, that's not emotional, that's not gambling, that's not anything. That's literally realizing that, okay, my trade idea was correct, and what the fuck am I doing not to enter again? Because this trade idea, in my opinion, was the freest fucking thing ever. Judas's, when they happen, are most of the time A plus. And in my opinion, this is practically A plus. So again, this 1 minute, no reason to care about it at all. The SMT with previous day high, no reason to care about it, because both assets are in a high time frame place of distribution. Unless ES were to take all-time highs, then I would care about it. However, I don't give a shit about this little internal SMT. This, if you faded for it, is the shittiest reason ever. So anyways, getting into the trade now, right? You can see now I went for like a 1.13, just because I lost a little bit here. Again, full transparency. And then one thing that was kind of bad is I forgot to enter on my 50K. No. I had it right the first time. I forgot to enter on my 50K. So if we exit out of replay mode. So I entered very late. Now again, sort of the comments I might get is like, oh, this is just fucking gambling. No, because none of the assets hit anything of significance, right, before having to manipulate, before having to do anything. So I expected us to just pump to previous day high, which again I honestly should have targeted, because that would have gave me like a 1 to 2.5, or I should have just at least risked more. I think like the fill would be something like that, and then stops at body or some shit. So honestly a little bit mad about that. However, a win is a win at the end of the day, and it goes by really fast, but I should have risked higher. Anyways, this was me entering on my 50K, because managing both honestly is hard, but I just wanted to make sure the 25K was up, because that eval needs to be passed. And then so that's pretty much it. And I made around 460 on it. Again, a little upset about it, but it's fucking whatever. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But anyways, in my opinion, this trade was absolutely A plus. This is a very simple trade. There's not much to say in this recap, because it's very similar like my other ones, right? Having a plus Judas, right? Everything about this is A plus, right? You literally have your high time frame targets, your low time frame targets, your low time frame structure, your high time frame structure, your stop hunt, your AMD, your PO3, your correlation, your true manipulation. Like, there is not a single bad thing about this, and the only reason I could see people fading is if they wanted to take the 1 minute. However, and this is not even hindsight wise, I wouldn't how do I word this? I wouldn't tell people to take this 1 minute because of the close. However, because of how strong the draw on liquidity is, and no assets really hit anything of significance, you could take the 1 minute like this and honestly put like stops here or here, and then just go for a 1-to-1. Again, not something I would recommend at all. Technically I did that just because I was late entry on my 50K. But again, there is absolutely no reason for price to reject here, right? Look at this fat fucking wick. It has absolutely no gaps of significance. I wouldn't care if there was any gaps here, by the way. I either way said that I was not shorting this morning. I was only looking for longs. If we did not get the open, low, high close and we just started to instead pump, so, 9:30 opens and just pumps instead, I would look for a call long. If ES took the all-time highs and then we didn't get a 15-minute, I would just be off. I would get off for the day. There's absolutely nothing that you can do, and there's absolutely no probable setups. But the drawn liquidity was very, very clear today, and this eval is back to half pass. Yesterday I was down, and honestly it was kind of a little bit sad in a way because I was 1 day away from passing the eval, but now I'm back to half, so I'm happy about that. But things could be worse. But 100%, this is getting passed. I now need another 600 ish. Actually, let me do the math on that because I think it's a little bit more. Anyways, okay, 588. Yeah, so let's say I divide by like realistically, like if I do 300 risk, honestly, it's like 1.96. So I need basically 2 wins of 300 ish. That's simple maths. Anyways, guys, that's the trade recap for today. I hope most of you guys took this. If not, there will be other days. However, the one thing to take away from this is understanding the significance of these little ass gaps that don't do anything. They don't mean anything. Waiting for this 1 minute is just extra confirmation. It's not necessary. It's not even the current manipulation, like, which is not even valid, really. Okay, and yes, this 15-second does close in the 1 minute. However, what is this 1 minute defending? But not only that, I truly do not give a fuck what this 1 minute does. I don't give a fuck if it closes like this, right? And then you have your stops there and regular whatever, like this, like that. Looking at the higher time frame structure, right? And not to mention this 1 minute, I don't even like the structure to take the inversion because you don't really have a stop on like this. This isn't a stop point, right? The only thing that you can count as your stop out is an accumulation breakout. But however, how I mentioned is I'd like to see a more internal stop on exactly like this, and you get the CISD. What a fucking beauty of a 15-second. Anyways, guys, have a great rest of your day. And Friday, hopefully, we can get tomorrow another dub, securing us, hopefully, a past eval for the weekend. Let's fucking go.